Time for another edition of Southeastern Biology Notes. This is learning target 4.3, which is on cellular respiration. So for this learning target, we want you to explain how food energy is converted to ATP through cellular respiration. So we've just learned about photosynthesis, how solar energy is converted to food energy. Now we're looking to convert food energy into ATP. So, cellular respiration, let's define it first. So cellular respiration is the process by which the energy stored in glucose is transferred into ATP. All right, so we're going to take the energy that we find in glucose and we're going to make it into what's called ATP. All right, so you do this all the time. Actually, all living things do this all the time. What happens is we take in oxygen, we breathe out carbon dioxide. You can see the oxygen here is blue and the carbon dioxide is red. So that happens actually in each one of your cells where we take in oxygen and we breathe out carbon dioxide. Alright, so it happens because we eat our food, which is in the form of glucose. And we take that oxygen and we attach the carbon from the glucose to it and we breathe out the CO2. So, when we say respire or respiration, we're talking about breathing. Okay, so as we respire, we take in oxygen and release carbon dioxide with each breath. Cellular respiration is what happens at the cellular level with that oxygen and carbon dioxide. So when we say cellular respiration, we mean that your cells, every single one of your cells, is taking in oxygen and releasing carbon dioxide. In that process, that's called respiration. So let's talk a little bit about what we make from respiration. So our cells make something called ATP, which we learned earlier is adenosine triphosphate. It is an example of a nucleotide. So it is a nucleotide molecule that contains usable energy for the cell. That means that the cell can use this molecule right here to do things. It needs to convert sugar, which is really complex, into something more simple. Believe it or not, this is an easier way for your cell to use energy. So each one of these bonds right here is called a phosphate bond. They have a lot of energy that your cell can use. Okay, so it's like this. Energy, ATP is the energy currency of the cell. All right, so if this Coke machine only takes dollars, you need to put in dollars. All right, you can't use pesos or lira or any other type of money other than dollars. So your cell is the same way. Your cells can't take in food or sunlight. They need to convert it into ATP so that we can do things. Another way to think about this as an analogy, if you go to the arcade, you need to use tokens to play the games. You need to convert your dollars into tokens. The games only take tokens, so you need to convert the food that you eat into something called ATP so that your cells can carry out the processes they need to carry out. So, what type of organisms use cellular respiration? So, do producers, consumers, and decomposers all use cellular respiration? You're probably thinking that producers like plants don't breathe, but they actually do. So producers, consumers, and decomposers all do cellular respiration in order to make ATP. Think about it like this. Plants need to grow. They make their own energy to grow, but they have to take that energy and make it into ATP so that they can grow. So they are just like us. Every single living thing on Earth does cellular respiration. Okay? Cellular respiration occurs in each cell and it occurs in their mitochondria. So the series of chemical reactions of cellular respiration occur in the mitochondria. We're not going to hold you responsible for each series of the chemical reaction, but we need to know that when you put in glucose, it turns your glucose into ATP. So the mitochondria convert glucose into ATP. All right, we're going to look at it a little different way now. Okay, so we get our food and we break that food down and we have these glucose molecules. Those are those rings of carbon and hydrogen and oxygen. Those go into the cell. We also take in oxygen from the outside. Animals breathe that oxygen in. The cell then converts glucose and oxygen into ATP, and it uses that ATP to carry out processes. During the process of the cellular respiration, after it's converted its ATP, it excretes out water, meaning it releases water, and it releases carbon dioxide. So food and oxygen go in, we make ATP, and we release water and carbon dioxide. This is another way of putting that, this time in a chemical equation. Just like with photosynthesis, we have reactants and products. What you're going to realize is that photosynthesis is the reverse of respiration. So for photosynthesis, we put in water, carbon dioxide, and sunlight, and we put in water, carbon dioxide, and energy, and we made oxygen and glucose. This time, we're going to take glucose and oxygen, we're going to make energy known as ATP, carbon dioxide and water. So chemically, that looks like this. C6H12O6 is glucose plus oxygen, turns into ATP and CO2 and H2O. And that's it. So once again, there's a lot of information in this. Go back, repeat this, ask questions, make sure you understand the big idea, the big concept, which is that by taking in glucose, which is food, and oxygen, we convert that into ATP, which is energy that our cells can use, carbon dioxide, and water. Okay, good luck.